So by a year after the journey started, the energy field became more kind of stable. It was feeling like a basin, not anymore like vibrations, and it wasn't neutral anymore. It wasn't painful. It was just uh, it was like the energy itself was filled with well-being and compassion. And I remember the first day I felt it. I was out working, and it felt like everything I saw, every human being I met, or tree or dog or whatever I saw was like it was everything was projecting this field filled with well-being and compassion. The body couldn't handle it. I had to run back home. And I remember I started to cry. I didn't know why I was crying. I cried like hours. I couldn't stop crying because it was like my heart was going to explode. It felt like uh, every pain and joy uh, uh, in the world, in the whole creation was passing through me. It was like it was it was a new experience. I felt that well-being before, when I was in the cycle of allowing, letting go and surrendering. Sometimes I felt that well-being, but it wasn't that intense. It wasn't the compassion wasn't there. Now it was like both well-being and compassion, and kind of, I couldn't say I was sad, but it felt like I was feeling the pain of every living being, even though I wasn't sad, and I couldn't help stop crying. It took like 2 or 3 days for me for the body to adapt to that state of being before I could go out again. Because whenever I look from the window and I see a tree, I will start crying. It was at that level. It was at that level. Um, yeah. And the outer experience was that flow of life I talked about in the previous episode. um, That's like um, everything I feel, everything I need or desire to experience was just like manifesting itself without me doing anything. It was like I was trying to explain that state of being to a friend of mine, and I took an ongoing experience. I was telling him that, okay, now you see, I ran out of credit in my phone. I was in Togo. You fill your phone with credit, uh, internet surf credit. So I was explaining, I took that example that, okay, now I ran out of credit. So that implied that I need credit in my phone. Just wait for it. Somehow, some uh, event or circumstance will bring about credit to my phone. And then 1 hour after, I think by the time I stop, I finish explaining the state of being, somebody called him, and that person had sell credits, and so she could transfer credit to my phone. That was how fast it went. The manifestation of my life experience. I wasn't feeling anymore like a person having a life. I was feeling like I was life, experiencing life. It was like everything was just in a flow, constant flow. I couldn't want anything. I didn't want anything. I didn't need anything. It was just like it was just easy. It's like easiness of life. Uh, and so, of course, I got attached to that state of being. It was so, I mean, how can you not, how can you not get attached to that state of being? Um, but it didn't last. That intense well-being, compassion is like I was connected to all being, and yet I was feeling like I am here. My personality was there, of course, but it was like I wasn't anymore blocking the flow of life. The state of always allowing everything to be just what it is and surrendering it back to life just somehow not only transmitted everything that was blocking the flow of life, it just put me in that state where everything was just benevolent. It was perfect. The body was feeling amazing. Life flow, the life experiences was exactly what I needed uh, all the time. But then it started to fade away. That state started to fade away, and worries and fears of losing that state started to come up to the surface. I was like, "Hey, mother, where are you? I'm here. I'm still here." But then I realized, I mean, I thought I was done. I mean, what else do you need in life? I forgot completely about peace. I mean, I wasn't peacing. I wasn't feeling any deep peace. I mean, there was still my present moment were still filled of um, the experience, the event that put me on the path in the first place was still there. There, I was still feeling some kind of. I mean, but by that time I was accepting uh, the situation. I accepted it completely, but I was still feeling that nudge within me, that situation, that I will come to leave that situation. I will come to let that situation completely go. And I didn't really know how that will work, because after all, it's like my son we're talking about. I can't just abandon my son, you know. So there were a bit of conflict there. I know what's going to happen, what I need to do, but I couldn't. I wasn't. I didn't have enough wisdom to accept that, you know. So the peace was not deep. Although the well-being was there, compassion was there, the peace was not deep. But I didn't really care, because life was floating, you know. And then I realized that state of being I experienced in about 2 months, I think. It was like the source was showing me what is beyond peace, what is the potentiality that I could reach. So I realized I had a choice there. I started the journey searching for peace. I was attached to that state. So I had a choice. The choice was clear. Let go of that attachment to peace that I was seeking, and just surrender everything to the source. And then the flow of life that I experienced will be mine. It was like, look, here is your potentiality. And this is what you are seeking. You know how to get there. I already know that allowing, letting go, and surrendering will take me to peace. That was established. That truth was established in me, because I felt better and better and better as I was doing that, as I was in that cycle. So I was completely sure I was going to reach that state of peace. But the new state that I experienced for 2 months, I didn't even know that existed when I entered the journey. You know, it was that was like the soul showing me the fullness of life. It's like there is more to life than just peace, joy, and freedom. All that it was like a package. It was like the fullness of life. I could feel that. Although the peace wasn't deep, I could feel that was like the end game, if you can call it that. Although the expansion in the socks is unlimited, that was like on Earth, it couldn't get better than that. You know. And so I let go of my attachment to peace, joy, and freedom that I was really attached to from the beginning, and searching. So I had to let that go. Of course, it was hard for me to do that. It was difficult, because the mind was letting me believe. The mind was it made me believe that I was offering something, you know. Even when I let go of pain, like fears like anger or frustration or sadness. I felt that every time I'm trying to let go of something, it's like the mind makes you feel like you are offering something. I mean, that's like you feeling bad. It's not something you want, but somehow you get attached to those those feelings anyway, those emotions anyway, and you feel like you are losing yourself. You are losing something, but now, of course, I know now that that was just an illusion that you are sacrificing something. But uh, in fact, what you letting go is just emotions that isn't really what you want to begin with. So it was a bit difficult to let go of peace. But eventually, as I entered again that cycle of allowing, letting go, and surrender. Uh, it slowly um, dissolved that attachment to peace, and joy and freedom slowly dissolved. And now I could start accepting um, the that wisdom that I don't need to have an experience of being a father if I don't want to. It was I had a choice. I always have a choice, and it's free. No one is judging me. Of course, human beings or egos will judge me for not choosing to play a role of a father, but the source will never judge whatever you do. I mean, if you are breathing now, that means the love of the source is there always. Every breath you take is it represents actually the fullness of life uh, streaming to and through you, you know. So if I can take a breath all the time, that means the the source doesn't judge. You know, there is no sin. uh, there is no sin. You know, it's just what is from the perspective of the source. Because we managed to build the whole life on Earth scenario based on fears. So of course we believe there is something wrong with doing this or something good in doing that, but in truth there is not. As if you are breathing now, that means the thought you had, that thought you are judging yourself on, or the action the action you took that you are judging yourself about, is just it's just a useless feeling actually. It's just the ego trying to put you in a situation so you can have an experience. That's like I mean that's the only reason why you will judge something actually, is just to have an experience. uh, but there is no reality in it, you know. So now I can accept that it is perfectly okay to have a son and not be with your son. All the conflict about loving him and not being with him, and letting go of responsibility to his mom and all the suffering, pain and suffering she will go through, the judgment of everybody around me. All that now can be resolved, actually. I could feel all that and I could allow it to be, and it was resolved. It took 4 months to resolve, but it could be resolved now that I can accept that truth. That is okay, it's all right. And so the cycle of allowing, letting go, and surrendering continue. Of course, I cried a lot. I mean, all this time, from the day one, it was like crying, laughing, dancing, and so on. And yeah. And then one morning I wake up and I just knew that my son and my ex can't be in my world anymore. It's like the choice it wasn't a choice anymore. It was just what I was. It was like I had a new world. I had a new hologram where my son and my ex can't exist in. And that was it. Of course, it took a while to, when you transmit a deep fear, it takes a while for, when you transmit it, all the thought formation doesn't have any fuel anymore. They just like floating around in the mind without any attachment within you. But they will be there for a time, and then because they are not triggering anything anymore within you, you stop fueling them, you stop giving them energy, and then they fade out. So it took a while for all those thought formation to fade out, and then it was completely resolved. And I could go back to that state of being where the well-being was a constant flow, and compassion was a constant flow. The outside experience wasn't that flow of life that I talked about. It wasn't. I wasn't there yet, but the state of my inner state of being was a constant buzzing of well-being. And it's like, even when I was thinking, I was feeling awareness in the background somehow. This constant buzzing was always there, even when I was thinking, or even when I was watching a movie or something. As soon as the mind started getting attached to a duality, that buzzing intensified and awareness come to the foreground, and then it's like it just on the fly transmitting everything I was reacting on. I actually used movies a lot to transmit judgment, because uh, it took very long time to actually get free from judgment, because this was from the day one I was working with judgment. Judgment is more like you can't actually transcend judgment before you transmit your need to judge. It's like there is some kind of reward in judging. You don't really realize it until you start working with judgment. That's when you realize, I really want to judge this person. It's like you're watching a movie. There is no, it's a movie. There is no reason to take a sides. It's like the bad guy isn't really a bad guy. It's just playing a role, and the good guy isn't really a good guy. It's just playing a role. But you judge them anyway based on what they are doing. Because it's just you get you. You get some kind of joy with it, or satisfaction in doing that. And so I used the movies a lot to work with judgment. Just watch a movie, and from a neutral state of being, if you cannot be neutral, you can be in a state of compassion or love and then watch a movie and try to be in that state, whatever happened in the movie. It's quite difficult in the beginning, but for me it wasn't really I didn't really have choice in that matter, because awareness was just taking over the show. Whenever the mind starts going into judgment, awareness will just pop to the foreground and then I realize that this is a judgment. And then as soon as you realize this is a judgment, when you have an intention to transmit judgment, it's automatically transmuted. And so your need for judgment regarding this life situation will be automatically transmuted. That's when you can transcend. That's how you transcend judgment, when all that is transmuted, when there is no need for you to judge. You don't anymore fear judgment. It's like the whole world just become friendly. It's like it's like no one is judging you. Of course you hear people judging you, but you don't really take it seriously anymore. You just you understand the pain and suffering behind that judgment, in that person, in that being, in that human, and you are more concerned about that suffering. I mean, even though you don't suffer, there is suffering in the world. So you can't really you will still I mean, the compassion is there. So although you don't get triggered anymore by the judgment, you are compassionate. The well-being I'm talking about, I don't know if you if you felt it before. It's kind of the first time I felt it. I was Eva. I think I was around 14 or something, and I mistook it to be. I thought I was in love. It was directed to just one person. As soon as I see this person in the eyes or close to that person or touch that person. It's like intense well-being. Is even when we are fighting, chasing each other or something, there is still this intense sense of perfection. All is well. Sense of you feel that it's like you just feel that it is all right no matter what. That's like that's the state I'm talking about. Now for me it was kind of a conflict situation, because the person I was feeling that the person that reflected that state back to me was my sister. So of course I had I couldn't accept it. I felt shame. I felt confused. I was like, okay, I think everybody's right. I am weird. How can you feel that for your sister? It was, I mean, no, we didn't have sex. If you want, just so you know. I mean, there is nothing wrong with that if that's what you both want. I know that now. I didn't know that then. But it took almost over 30 years to resolve that conflict. Feeling that intense love for your sister isn't really something easy to resolve. So it was now when I felt it, just just being aware, that I realized it wasn't my sister was innocent. She didn't do any. She didn't have any choice. She didn't have any chance. She was just like a perfect mirror for me to see myself, or to sense my beingness. It was just the perfect mirror for me. That's when I resolved that conflict. It was like, now I understand. Now it feels. Now I could let her go. I was because she died 3 years after, and I couldn't let her go. I couldn't let go of that pain I felt of she just dying. It was like, I remember I was when she died. I was she died in the afternoon, so the funeral was the next day. Every now and then I will go up and check that to make sure she's not trying to breathe or something. I couldn't really believe she was gone. And it took 30 years to actually transcend that pain. I couldn't. It's like I thought about her every second of every day since, and every time I think about her, it was pain. It was still painful. It's like, although I had relationships, I had partners, and so on, but I couldn't really replicate that state of being. It was like the most intense, the most powerful feeling I got from somebody. I mean, I thought it was from somebody, and that was her. And then she died. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah. That's how I know you can't. that's how I know love isn't something that you get from somebody, because I felt it when there was no one there to provoke that feeling within me. It was just my awareness of being that uh, that uh, put me in that state. And because I tried, I mean, when I felt that from with my sister, I mean, I tried to replicate that feeling with a lot of partners, but it didn't work. I mean, I tried. I even went to my friends' partners and my cousins, and I mean, I try in all the way you can come up with. It doesn't work. It's like you have to be in touch with it within you first, and then it reflects back to you when you look at somebody else. Because when you feel it, it's like it's there with anybody, with everybody. It's like you can you love everybody. You can. I remember when I was still going to my ex and take care of my son. I sometimes I couldn't look at her in her eyes because it felt like she will interpret that in the wrong way, because she would probably feel that uh, in my eyes. If her heart is open, she will probably feel that, and she will call the police or something. So it isn't something that you get. It's something that's just streaming through you, and then you just sense it. It's like a flow is. It's like it build some kind of flow. The field is like you sense your beingness, and then it's like connected somehow to the other being, to the other person. It can be a tree or something, or a bird. You just feel that state is, and I think that's why uh, no one no one can't really uh, few people really get true love, that we chase all the time. It's because we trying to get it from you may feel it maybe in the first days or weeks when you fell in love, because now you're not really in the fear. Your how you call it, your attention is in your heart, not in the mind anymore. So you can feel that state for a while, because before fear start creeping in and and move you away from yourself, and then you think, she's that or he's that, and so on. That's just when you go back to the mind. I mean, two persons, there is not just one world. There is, like, if we are 7 billions, there is 7 billions worlds, and because most people are living in the mind most of the time, so they're living in their own world, not in the reality. So as soon as you both get back to your world, you are like in different worlds, so you can't really connect anymore. But if you could stay in that, in your heart, and just enjoy that state, you may feel that true love with somebody, or wake up and get in touch with your with your beingness, and then you can meet any partner, and they just right for you, because it doesn't, you are not in the world, you are in the reality of who you are, and love will be just there because it's what you are. So now I was in that state again, well-being, compassion. There were still things to transmit, of course. Peace wasn't profound. It was like when I am when I am transmitting something, I wasn't feeling deep pain and suffering. There was no suffering at all. But I wasn't feeling deep pain anymore. It was okay, when I was transmitting. But I could feel that there is more peace in me. It's like when you are digging for water, you will start sensing that there is water here before you actually see the clean and source of water that you are seeking. So I was feeling that there is peace here, but I wasn't immersed in peace. But now I was feeling like I surrendered everything. I wasn't resisting anything. Why is it that I wasn't feeling that state of being that Eckhart is talking about? I mean, I'm still going like that, But that's the thing. Whenever a question come up to the mind, an answer is also there within me. It's like, and then you feel that when you awaken, when you realize your attention, you start feeling that you know something before the mind picks it up. There is a gap there. So I know the answer isn't coming from the mind, it's coming from myself, from my inner being. So as soon as a question comes to the mind, the answer is also there. Most of the time, sometimes I don't get any answer, but I get a sense that that's also an answer. It's hard to explain, but you just have to feel it. You just have to know it. It's like you will know it in your ways. For me, it's like a whole body experience. The vibration intensify, or the buzzing, my whole body buzz, and then I just know this is the answer. And that's how I know I haven't actually transcended the fear of actually succeeding in fully awaken, also in awakening fully, that was still there. I was still, the mind was still sending me those fear-based thoughts, like, hey, watch up, you may wake up one day and then you are on a top of a building and talking to people. Hey, my beloved sons, I'm back. Jesus, Christ is back. And so Christ has returned. And those kind of savior fear, it's like, and the look in everybody's faces is like, who do you think he is, or something? Or like, yes. So it's like, what will I become? I mean, if I'm suddenly fully awake now, what will Muhammad become? You know, it's like, what will become of me if Christ or life, if you choose to, or God, if you want, take over my beingness? What will be of Muhammad? It's like, hello, I'm still here. You know, I'm still I still have things I don't want to do or things I want to do. If life is to run my show, will I be like in the backstage and just watching my life going here and there? Nothing to, I don't have anything to say. You know, that's like fear of actually succeeding in knowing fully that you are awareness, you know. In the next video, I will tell you what happened when that fear was being transmitted. Thank you for listening. Bye.